this is Will Tchakirides interviewing Rashad Abdul-Muhaimin for the HBCU Radio Preservation Project. It is 10:52 a.m. on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024, and this interview is being recorded at Chavis Community Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, I'm going to begin. Please state for the record your full name and what your last role was in HBCU radio.
Okay, my full name is Khalil Rashad Abdul-Muhaimin, and my last role at Shaw University radio station WSHA, I was the assistant general manager.
Excellent. And may I call you Rashad for this interview?
That's fine.
Great. Okay, Rashad, I want to take it back to the beginning to start. Tell me a little bit about the place that you grew up and the people who raised you. And please feel free to name those people.
I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and in North Philadelphia, to be exact. My mother, her name was Martha Ann Rodan, and my father was James R. Rodan. My mother was a seamstress, and my father was a unionized welder.
And what is your birthday?
My birthday is 2654.
And you were born in Philadelphia?
Yes, sir. Yep, born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay. And are your parents from Philadelphia? Or did they
No, my
migrate?
mother and father were from South Carolina.
Both of them?
Right.
And where in South Carolina?
Beaufort, South Carolina, St. Helena, and what else? Laura Bay, South Carolina.
Would you describe what that place, in those places in South Carolina, would like? If you traveled back as a
hot
as a
during the
child.
summertime.
Yeah.
Hot during the summertime, I remember that. But nice during the winters when we would travel down there. So that's what I remember. Going to visit my grandparents and other relatives. Yeah, very nice. Well, now it's very much a resort now. Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever get back there now?
No, I haven't been back there in years. Yeah. In fact, I was talking to my cousin the other day. He's near Charleston. Hopefully sometime to go and visit him down there. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you can tell me even a little bit more about your parents' occupations as a seamstress and welder and their involvement in union activity or as workers, just a little bit more detail if you can.
Yeah, my father was involved with the union. He was a union worker. He was involved with the union. That's pretty much all I know. And my mother, she was a unionized worker as well, and she was a seamstress, and she worked at a clothing factory, and all I knew that we were being provided for, So, but I thought we were very well taken care of, my brothers and sisters. But as far as and my mother was somewhat of a community activist in the neighborhood.
Say more about that.
She organized people for voting, getting things done with the city, that sort of thing. And I think, did I mention she was involved with voting and that kind of
So
thing?
kind of electoral politics?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Getting out the vote?
Yeah.
And how many siblings do you have?
I got 3 brothers, well, 2 brothers, one passed, and 3 sisters.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like? What did it feel like having many siblings in the house? What did you all like to do for fun as kids?
Of course, play. But myself, I was somewhat of a little bit an athlete, so I played basketball, football with the neighborhood kids, played high school sports. You find me in the neighborhood, you'll find me a lot in the schoolyard. Yeah. That's where I was. And, of course, listening to the radio a lot.
What did you listen to as a child?
Growing up in Philadelphia, you had a variety of radio stations to listen to. I listened to the rock stations. I listened to the jazz stations. Of course, I was really geared toward listening to the college radio stations, like Drexel University and Temple University radio stations, because they had more of an alternative. Of course, I listened to the soul station as well, but I wanted to listen to more deeper music, so that's where you found that kind of music on like Temple, RTI, and Drexel's radio station. Yeah.
And what schools did you attend in Philadelphia?
I went to all boys school, Thomas Edison High School. It's a co-ed now, but that was all boys school. Now today you tell kids you went to all boys school. What is that? But I really enjoyed it. Wish I had done better in school, what I know now. You know what I mean? But I went to all boys school because I loved it. The camaraderie, with the guys, and you were able to build, I think, a true brotherhood. Going to all boys school. And my sisters, they went to all girls schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to describe, as you recall it, what are the demographics like in Philadelphia? I'm interested in questions of race and class and politics and issues like that. But how do you think about the demographics and what the culture's like in Philadelphia at that time growing up?
I think, during, there were a lot of things going on in Philadelphia. Of course, race relations weren't that great, but in my neighborhood, when I first moved to my neighborhood.
And what's that neighborhood called?
It was, I don't know if it had a name, but
okay.
it was North Philadelphia. The section, yeah. I'm not sure exactly what that section was, but there were, because we grew up playing with other kids of other races in my neighborhood, and we didn't have any problems. So, but of course, the outlining things, of course, reading the news and things. There were a lot of distractions, stress, because you had a mayor. I don't know if you ever there was a mayor named Frank Rizzo.
Tell me about Frank Rizzo and how you think about Frank Rizzo.
Well, he was a gangster.
He was the police chief before he became mayor, right?
He was the police chief, and he was very, very, I guess, authoritarian, in his approach to policing. And he was a dangerous guy, I thought. Yeah.
And do you remember, I guess you started to talk about the radio that you were listening to. What is that when you got interested in maybe someday doing radio, or?
Yes. Yeah.
You were at that early age, you were already thinking about it?
I think basically in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I really started about.
Were there courses in high school, or an activity or a recreational activity?
No. Just wanted to, I liked how the guys, they played their music. I used to call the radio stations and ask for requests, and the guy, they would pick up the phone and say, we have it coming right up, and never came. They never played the request. So, but I continued to listen, so my requests never came on. But I did ask the name of the songs, and they would tell me the name of the songs that were being played. So I listened to the radio quite a bit, to the point that my mother said you needed to cut the radio down because it was too loud in the house. Mm-hmm. So I really got interested in being on the radio during that time.
Were your parents religious at all? Did you attend church?
Or
yes. Another religious institution?
Yes. Yes, we did attend a church. Yes.
Which one do you recall?
Thankful Baptist Church. That was the name of the church at 17th and Allegheny Avenue in Philadelphia.
And were your folks involved in church life and activities?
Yes, my mother was. Yes. Yeah, my father not so much, but he went, but he wasn't involved in church that much.
Tell me about your dad. What did he like to do?
He liked jazz and blues, and that's where I got my jazz and blues likes from. Him and my uncle, they used to buy jazz records and sit down and listen to jazz records. And I would see the Blue Note records, and I would see these serious African American musicians on there. I said, wow, these are some serious guys.
It was on in the house all the time.
Yes.
Jazz music.
Yeah.
Blues.
And of course, he liked rock and roll, not rock, but blues and R&B, but mostly jazz and blues. Yeah.
What was your favorite subject in high school?
My favorite subject was athletics.
Okay, so focusing on basketball.
Right. Yeah. But I did have art and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The arts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you go to college on an athletic scholarship?
No.
Or anything like that?
No.
When you tell me about the process of thinking about college and where you were interested in going and what you ultimately ended up doing.
Yeah, I met a recruiter because they had recruiters coming around your schools, but I got recruited through. I was at a boxing gym in Philadelphia, and a recruiter from St. Augustine's College came in and asked me, because I didn't go to college until my about a year after I got out of high school, because I wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
So
where did you work?
I worked at different places, factories, and I worked at gymnasiums, that kind of thing.
Were you into boxing as well?
No, no. My brothers were into boxing, but no, not me. Yeah. So
So the recruiters.
Yeah, they were at a boxing gym. So I went there. They came there and asked me about did I want to go to college. So I always wanted to go because I did. While I was in college, I did apply to some colleges, but I never really followed up. I said, well, I think I want to work for about a year, and then just so happened I met these recruiters from St. Augustine's College, and they told me about St. Augustine's College, and I went the summer, I think, the fall of '73. For that year, I went down there.
Tell me what it felt like the first time you walked on St. Augustine's campus. What did you see? What did it? If I were to be plopped into that space, what would I see?
It was definitely a place of learning. Learned a lot, and meeting people from different places. People from Chicago, Florida. People, that was the amazing thing, meeting people from different places, and of course, some people having the same interest that you have from different places. Yeah, so that was quite unique.
And that's here in Raleigh, is that right?
Right. Yeah. St. Augustine's. Well, St. Augustine's University now. Yeah. I went there. I went there for about a couple of years, and then I left and transferred to Shaw University, and that's how I wound up at Shaw University on the radio. Okay. Because radio, when I heard the radio station, that really interested me. I thought that was a good chance for me to get on the radio.
So you were at St. Augustine, St. Augs, and you heard the radio.
Right.
What is that? What is this station?
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
And that's around 74 or so, 75 when you transferred?
74, 75, yes.
There's a lot happening in the world, in America at that time. What's it like in Raleigh during that time in the mid-70s?
Well, I think I didn't really get out that much. I was basically, because, there were a lot of students that had their own vehicles, but I didn't have my own vehicles. I was pretty much stranded, like some other people from other cities, that weren't from North Carolina. So I was pretty much limited. I didn't really get out a whole lot, but I did know that there was still some racial strife. I did know that.
Yeah, describe the climate. Anything you remember?
I remember we had the situation with the Wilmington 10.
Tell me about the Wilmington 10.
Well, I didn't know that much about it, other than there was a situation that happened down in Wilmington, and there was some tension going on with that. So I was kind of I just heard about it. That was basically it.
Of course, Wilmington, right, has a pretty fraught history with
now that I know that. Yes.
Yeah. They had a big 1898
right
massacre.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So describe your first interaction with WSHA and Shaw's University's radio.
Oh, okay. Well, when I became a student, I I was a mass comm major, and I kept calling the student manager about wanted to be trained, and that's how I got on. But one thing, how I really got on was because that once I got on, a lot of students, everybody wanted to play R&B, you know, but not many people wanted to play the jazz music. So that's how I got in.
So it wasn't. Jazz didn't dominate the program.
Well, they played jazz, but a lot of people wanted to be on they wanted to do the R&B, you know, and love music kind of stuff, you know, and so I said, well, of course, I loved jazz, and I loved R&B too, so I said, this is my chance to get in. So that's how I got in. I was playing jazz music.
What was your major?
RTV film at that time, radio, television, and film. That was what it was called.
Mass communications department.
Right, it was, yeah, it was called radio, TV, and film then. Yeah.
Okay, and what was your first role as a student? Was it as a DJ?
Yeah, I was a DJ. I was a DJ on the air, and you know, but I did play some R&B, but it was just that those spots were popular. Mm-hmm. You know, not many people wanted to do jazz, so that's how I got my foot in the door.
Did you have a name for your show?
I think the shows already had a name. So you just filled in. I think Jazz Spectrum was the name of the show that I did. I think that was from 3 to 6 or something like that. Yeah. So I did that show. Yeah.
And how large?
And I did some weekends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how large was the staff at this time?
During that time, the staff was, I think you had of course, the mass comm director, and you had the student PD, who was David Linton. I think you may have talked with him. David
Mm-hmm.
Linton was there. He was very helpful in helping me, you know, learn broadcasting skills. And then there were some others as well.
Who else do you remember there?
I remember, well, of course, Edith Lee. She was there when I was there. You've talked with her. There were. I can't really call. I don't want to call names because I want to. Somebody may listen say, he didn't mention me. I remember.
That's okay.
You know, but yeah, there were a lot of others because it was a good body. I think it brought a lot of people together. You know, being at that radio station.
You felt like a team.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It sure did. It brought a lot of people together.
So did you work at the station through the duration of your college career?
No, I basically volunteered.
Okay.
But once I graduated, because I worked for Shaw University, had a contract with the National Weather Service out at the airport.
Yeah.
And I worked at the National Weather Service. I think it was OSHA, part of that. And they had a contract with the National Weather Service, and I was announcing weather reports.
This is where folks would call in and get the weather report.
Right, but you have to have a NOAA weather radio to hear the weather. And so when that contract was over, that was when I went over, because since I was working with Shaw University, that when it was about a couple months later, I was at the radio station, and I was doing overnights then.
And what year did you graduate from Shaw?
In 81.
What did your parents think about your radio career and what you were doing? Were they excited for you?
Yeah. Said he was doing something. he was doing something positive, and so I did take some tapes of myself, you know, that I recorded and I played for family and friends, and they liked it, you know.
And what kinds of work did your siblings end up doing while you're going down this path?
I have a sister that's a nurse. I had a brother work as a printer at community college. A sister that was an administrative assistant. I had a brother in the Marines, and I also have a brother that was in the U.S. Navy. Yeah.
It's quite a mix.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you've graduated college. It's 1981.
Right.
It's a new day in America, right? A new morning in America, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking as you're finishing up school and you're embarking on your professional life?
Of course, I was married too.
Oh, tell me about that.
I had to provide for my family.
Tell me about your wife.
Yeah, my wife.
Or
She works for the state. She was a state employee, and so that's basically what I was doing. I was in college, and so I was working, and of course in school. So provide for my family as well.
Any children yet?
No, I have children later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and then tell me if there are other jobs that you want to go into more detail on before getting back to Shaw, or was it a quick transition back to working?
It was a quick transition because I pretty much stayed in radio.
And tell me what give me sort of the trajectory of your different roles and positions at Shaw.
Okay, I came in when David Linton was there. I was entry level, so I was doing overnights. I was playing music overnight, and then I think David Linton had left and went to Elizabeth City, and that was when Cathers Hall took over. So I went from doing overnights to then I was doing a day, and I basically did announcing, and I wasn't involved with programming that much, but I was just basically an announcer. Yeah, but I was full time, but I was just basically a full time announcer there, and then later on, when Cathers Hall left, because during that time, I can't remember when she actually left, was 85, 84, because the university, they went into financial troubles. So she had left, and I was left there at the radio station by myself. So, and another gentleman by the name of Joe, I forget his name, Andre Smith. In fact, he used to work. He worked at KT. No, he didn't work. He went to Houston, Texas. He didn't work at Texas Southern radio station. He worked at a sports station in Houston. So we were there, and we kind of managed the station while things were. The university was going through some things. So we were there, and then once the university got on foot, they brought in a new general manager. But at that time, I was still like in the programming. But they brought in a director of mass comm, and he was running the station during that time. So at the radio station, I was. When he came, and I was promoted to the program director, so I developed a program for the radio station.
And what year did you become program director?
That might have been about 86.
Okay.
Yeah, so during that time, I developed a program for the radio station, and that was when we really kind of turned over to go all jazz.
For the music?
Right, because during that time, of course, a lot of people were listening to WSHA, and then we had a high-powered commercial radio station that came in, 97.5, and they had a big blitz. They were giving away, all kind of prizes, and WSHA couldn't
competitors
compete with that. So during that time, I said, well, I think we should go jazz.
So you really are responsible for shaping the jazz direction of the station in a big way.
Well, I think with help with some other people, because I did before we went over in that direction, I did consult with people. I mean, I didn't just do that.
Who were you consulting with?
I consulted with a gentleman by the name of Chester Davis, who was a Shaw alum. He had worked at a AM commercial radio station. I consulted with a gentleman by the name of Donald Baker, and he was a professor at Shaw University, and
eventually rose up the ranks, right? I believe. Am I thinking of the right Baker?
Oh, you talked with him?
I haven't talked with him, but
okay.
He ascended the academic ranks.
Right. So and there were some other people that I consulted with too, and they said they thought it was a good idea. So we did that. and of course I got pushback from the students.
For the jazz?
You know, yeah. You know, but they kind of they locked in. But like I said, I mean, we did play R&B too.
Yeah.
You know, but we did lean more toward jazz.
I'm curious about, well, we talked about financial difficulties. What other kinds of challenges did the station face? It could be a natural disaster. It could be political challenge. It could be an administrator. What are some of the challenges you're facing as a leader there?
I didn't, when I was, not until later, we had support from the administration, because we not only did we do play music, but we did other things as well. We did public affairs.
I'm going to ask you about that in a second.
We did sports. We did Shaw University sports. We did, of course, once when we really got certified to be a part of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, we did a lot of things.
Do you know about when that certification came?
I know we had it when David Linton was there, but we had lost it because we didn't have enough staff. So when the new manager came in and we got enough staff people, we applied and we got certified station for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So we were able to do a lot of things. We got money. We had fundraisers, which were we were able to get financial support from the community. So we were able to do a lot of things. We were able to buy equipment.
So that's really important when you get that certification to help survive.
Right. So we got equipment. We were able to at least pay some more people. We were able to expand our brand. Yeah.
So going back, tell me a bit more about. So there's the music side of the station. I do want to know about the public affairs side.
Public affairs,
the importance to the community.
I think the public affairs was very, very important because we talked about things to help people. Where to go to get health services. We talked about things that were going on in the community. People that with Chaffetz Community Center. We were able to connect people to all kinds of services.
What's happening in the Raleigh community during that time when you're working here? What kinds of issues are people focused on?
I think issues where I think we had problems with issues with policing, issues with the housing. So we had a host that did a public affairs program that brought those issues to light.
Do you remember that host's name?
Her name was Miss Margaret Rosemary. She had a program on the air. And of course, Dylan may have mentioned her. I don't know if he did or not.
Yeah, we did talk to a John Dillahunt.
Yeah, and he had a program as well. Talking about issues that were about issues with workers. He had a program.
Do you remember what his program was called?
Black Workers for Justice?
So that was his organization. Was it Justice Speaks?
Justice Speaks.
Okay.
Justice Speaks, right. Yeah. So, he had a program on the air. It was a very, very, very good program. So we had, as far as public affairs, I think that was one of our strengths.
And was Miss Murray's Traces of Faces and Places?
Yes.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that was the program that she did. We had during election time, we brought in candidates, both sides, so people they would get a chance to hear their platform.
So you would host debates on the radio almost?
Right. Pretty much. Yes.
And tell me, so folks could, especially for Miss Murray's program, folks could call in, right?
That's right.
And
yeah.
what kind of challenges does that pose to a radio station when the public's calling in?
Well, you do have to kind of screen them, screen some of the callers. But I think we were pretty good at that. Sometimes on these talk radio shows, you have some people, the callers. They become part of the show too,
Yeah.
and people listen just to hear some of the callers.
They develop their own radio personalities.
That's right. But we were able to handle them. But public affairs was very a strength of WSHA. And I think with the station being gone, you see that void. And because I think a lot of people really don't, to really locally get to know what's going on without WSHA, I don't think a lot of people really know what's going on, and especially with the local papers, they try their best, but I think WSHA was very, very keen on that.
Yeah, Jamu Dillahunt was telling us about how
it's a big void. Mm-hmm.
It's a major loss and a major void, and when they were on the air, they would sort of read editorials from the black press. There would be a sort of a connection between what the written news and the spoken news.
Right.
How much, when you're leading the station and when you're working at the station, are you thinking about, here's a radio station that I believe was founded in 1968, right, coming out of the Black Power movement, and I think the demands of students for a voice in the city. Are you thinking about that legacy and what it means while you're leading the station? What does it mean to you?
Oh yeah. I think during that time, of course, I remember before I became on the radio, I remember, you would have people on the radio, talking about the, what was the civil rights, what was going on during that time on WSHA, and they had, of course, they had news people, and I do remember, of course, and you really heard it in expression through the music.
Say more about that.
You would hear, a lot of conscious music being played on WSHA during that time. And I think that helped to awaken a lot of people, listeners. Yeah.
Music's powerful.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. And another thing, of course, you didn't mention it, but I think we did bring Shaw Sports to the forefront as well.
Say more about that.
Because people were able to hear, college basketball on the air, college football on the air. We were able to send and also students being trained at the same time to do that thing.
I'd like to know more. I'd like to know more, if you could, about the training aspects where you're training a generation of students, of radio professionals.
Right.
So what does that mean to you to be able to do that for these students, and what does the process actually look like when you're training? Yeah,
we would train students before they went on the air. We had a handbook on how to train the students on the air. They would go through a process. Of course, they would have to have a good speaking voice, and good writing, because we had students doing news and, of course, public affairs. They would know how to run and use the equipment. So they went through of course the courses that they had to take too as well helped a lot, because it was basically what you learned on the air, what you learned in class, you were able to take and learn on the air. Speaking, announcing, broadcast announcing, broadcast writing, production, all that. So, and we have students that really did an excellent job doing that.
So what does it mean to you to be a mentor to those students?
Oh, very, very. I think if you talk to some of them now, they would say, they would thank Mr. Muhaimin.
And who would
and I'll thank them too. Yes. Yeah.
And who would you say are your greatest mentors in this business in Shaw Radio?
David Linton, Donald Baker, Cash Michaels. He's a writer. He was in this area. Also, who else? There's Chester Davis. Yeah. Now, there were some people that I admired that radio announcers that I did admire from afar.
Who were they?
But they were basically in Pennsylvania.
That's okay.
Yeah, on the radio. Yeah. I can't even remember some of their names. But, you're sitting back listening to them and say, I want to sound like that. Yeah.
Speaking of the students that you're mentoring and who are working, I want to know a bit more about the campus life while you're leading the station? And what is the station's relationship to, say, homecoming or to other events on campus?
Yeah,
what does it mean?
Well, that was really, really great because we would have, while I was working there, and we would have former announcers come on and talk about the radio station. Sometimes we would gear our fundraising, on-air fundraising around homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have former WSHA announcers come on and talk about their time at the radio station. Also, of course, they would make a contribution to the radio station. We would broadcast some of the events. Of course, we did the football games and the basketball games because when we didn't have football, when football came later, we were doing homecoming, doing basketball games, doing basketball. So that was during homecoming, and we would broadcast the games, and we would broadcast some of the homecoming ceremonies as well, the convocation, the other events that they had as well, and also we would do even during the regular school year we broadcast graduation. We broadcast graduation, we broadcast school convocation. So the university, other than our regular programming, we did do events for the university as well that they wanted us to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting about homecoming, graduation, sporting events. How did you, as a station, paint a picture for people listening? Is it as simple as play-by-play for the sporting event, or did people bring a certain energy to?
A certain energy. Something we would talk about. Of course, we would come on the intro. This is WSHA. We were at the Shaw University convocation, and we would, just set everything up. We would be on our end, and we would introduce. They would give, of course, the university would give us a sheet, a program, of how the flow of the program would go. So the president would come on, and so that's how we did that. In fact, we did have interviews with the presidents. Various presidents during my tenure when I was there would come on the radio. We had presidents come on help us out doing our fundraiser, on-air fundraiser. So we had a good rapport with the administration.
Any presidents at the university who were particularly supportive that you might want to mention?
All of Dr. Shaw, most of them were Dr. Newsom. So they were very supportive of the radio station.
Were you a member of a fraternity?
No.
You didn't
No.
touch? I do. In even more detail, why did it matter that you were working at an HBCU and doing radio on an HBCU campus?
Well, I think it mattered because you are talking to an audience that's looking for an alternative or different information. So working at HBCU, you get a chance to you're being trained not only to be at that, but you'll be able to go other places as well. A network.
Speak to that network of HBCU radio as well, if you can.
Yeah, because I think WSHA, in my opinion, and this, I think, pretty much the grandmother of them all, because we've had people that finished to go on to run other radio stations, North Carolina Central, Fayetteville State radio station, Virginia State, Norfolk State, Elizabeth City. I think I mentioned that already. And I don't know if others, but I know that the WSHA, we did produce some good people in programming and in management to go on and run other radio stations.
It's real training ground.
Yes, yep, that's right. And I've had chances, but I stayed at the
Good. They needed you.
At Shaw, yes.
And
Yeah.
did you attend other conferences or
Oh yeah,
convocations?
yeah, because we went to. That's how I got to meet some colleagues from other HBCUs, like WEAA, also Elizabeth City, Clark Atlanta, Houston, and I think Jackson State, and I think there's another Alcorn.
Mm.
I don't know if you is it Alcorn? They have a radio station too, but I've met them. So we did have a Florida A&M. So we did have a. I mean, we would consult each other. Talk about a certain situation at your radio station. How do you handle that? How you handle this? So that was good. So I kind of look forward to seeing those guys. During the conferences.
Yeah, so fun to travel and
Right.
and move around the country, but also it's in that tradition, that black organizing tradition, right? To
Right.
build power collectively.
That's right, and also even with that too, even some of the non-HBC radio stations too.
Okay, tell me. Yeah.
They had resources. They were willing to help you as well. Another thing that I wanted to mention as far as with programming is that with the music that we played. We really had it. I think with HBC radio stations, particularly Shaw, you get a chance to introduce people to different kinds of music, and a lot of times you realize that those artists that are being played, a lot of them that you hear on commercial radio stations, they got their start. They were first played on HBCUs. So those stations, that music, a lot of them were introduced on HBCU radio, and then it went on to commercial radio stations because that's the freedom that you get to play all kinds of music.
College radio.
Right. Yeah.
And describe, if you can, just how during the course of your career you saw the HBCU radio landscape change over time. Did it kind of remain in the same programming formats, or did it shift a little bit as time went on?
I think it has shifted. I think you have some especially those that started out playing what you call traditional jazz music. Some of them probably still stick to that core of playing the hardcore straight ahead jazz. Then you have some that spread out and start playing the commercial jazz. I've heard some listeners say they don't like that, that smooth jazz thing. But sometimes you do have to change. But with me, I kind of play the best of the best. You play the best of that and the best of the other. So you bring them close together. I did a show. I had a term. I would play smooth jazz, but I would play smooth jazz with an edge. Not the creamy, milky stuff. I didn't play that. And so we did. We did have a good. I think we had a good blend, the best of the best. Yeah, and getting to the program, I think WSHA, we had a good program where we played blues, played gospel, we played R&B. We had a program for the students where they could play hip hop, on Saturday nights, and we had reggae, which I think was very, very important. And with our when we had a manager who was he was Nigerian. He brought African music to the fore, so we created a lot of. We had a very good, well-rounded audience.
It's an eclectic mix.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Tell me a little bit about the technology that you're using and how that changed over time.
The technology, yeah, because when I first started, we were doing the reel to reel. We went from reel to reel, then we went to they had the digital tape. And then from digital tape, then went to mini disc and CD players, and now it's streaming, but and of course with the technology, I know the record promoters, they would send you records, and then after with the technology, then they started sending you CDs, and now I think they're probably still they're still sending I've been out of the game for about 4 or 5 years, but I do understand now that they're sending online the records. The music is being sent online, so I guess that way, rather than you can download it to, I guess, your automated computer
And streaming.
and stream it that way on the radio that way. And of course the consoles are different, big wide knobs. Now you have up and down, so the technology did change. Yeah.
How large did the staff remain, and what kinds of staff members did the station have when you were leading it?
We had, I was in charge of on-air announcers, public affairs director, and our public affairs director was both news and public affairs.
Who was that person?
We had various people. We had Nadine Clipper. She was our public affairs. We had, I think she did news. We had Sharon Berry Vivian, and we had some others as well. And then we did use students. We did train students in those roles as well.
So I'm looking at my notes, and was there a gentleman named John Fleming who worked at the station at any point?
He didn't work at the radio station. He was, I think, John Fleming. He was a president administrator.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know he played a role at the station.
Mm-hmm.
So, were you directing the station still at the time of its closure?
No. I retired. I retired in 2016.
2016.
So I think they may have closed, I think, in 2018.
So towards the last decade or so of your career, what was it like at the station, say, during the Obama election and other national events and global events that are happening? What's the coverage like?
Well, of course, we didn't, other than our public affairs, where we had, on our talk shows, that we had talked about, the upcoming election with
Okay.
President Obama and that kind of thing. But I think at that time the station was was at its height, I believe, because we were raising money, we were meeting our goals during our fundraiser. We were able to do a lot of other things. So during that time, I think that was the height of WSHA. During that time, yes.
I want, if you can, to. So, what year did the station close its doors or go off the air?
It must have been 2018.
Okay, so
because.
What can you tell me about that closure and why
it
it
devastating.
happened?
I don't. Well,
And how you felt? Yeah.
Oh, I was devastated. Just like a lot of people. I mean, the community was devastated. I think if we had done more, we probably could. Shaw, the listeners and the alumni. I think if we have done more, I think if we had pressed harder, I think we probably could have saved the station. But
there was a petition effort.
Oh yes, yeah. People were calling. You heard many reasons why the university shut it down. The station was 100,000 watts. It was a 100,000 watt station.
Was it always
powerful.
100,000 watts, or how did that change over time?
No, it became 100,000 watts. I can't remember when that happened. But, we had a very, very wide range. And during that time, we were planning on even making we wanted to have some satellite transmitters to do more.
Mm-hmm.
That was approved by the university. That was approved by the university, but it didn't. It fell through. But
so what made it go off the air?
Like I said, I wasn't there, but you just and you heard talk. The university said they were in a financial bind, and they thought that if they sold the radio station, this is what I heard, that if they sold the radio station, they would be able to go streaming, and that never happened. But you thought, I thought that, well, we were streaming anyway for the radio station, so they could have still shut the broadcast on air down when they still could have streamed. So, but they said they were in a I understand from what I heard, they were in a financial bind. They had to sell the radio station, and I just don't know, because like I said, I had left, and I was just still trying to find. We were trying to save the radio station, but apparently there were. The higher authority wanted it to be shut down, which I think is a shame, because you can still see and hear the effects of it closing down.
That hurt.
Yeah. I mean, anywhere I go, people will say, "Well, I missed that radio station." Yep.
I'm thinking back to also my conversation with Ajamu Dillahunt.
Uh-huh.
What happened to his show? And I'm curious if you recall. He mentioned a Dr. Emeka, an administrator. Like, what happens when a show becomes political in that sense?
Yeah, I think Dr. Emeka didn't want to get in. I think he wanted the show to be kind of generic, and I think it might have been a little bit too radical for his kind of taste. And so he had kind of, shut the station down, shut that program down. But he was bringing a lot of things to be aware of. Black Workers for Justice.
Dillahunt, you're saying?
Yeah, Dillahunt. Yeah. I think he wanted, and I think Dr. Emeka, he was influenced by, I don't know, you ever heard of Pacifica Radio?
I have.
Yeah. So I think Dr. Emeka, because he did mention Pacifica Radio, he liked Pacifica Radio, but I think he didn't want WSHA to be a Pacifica type radio station.
So you weren't one of the Pacifica stations?
No. We did air Pacifica programs.
Democracy Now!
No, I don't think we did Democracy Now! But we did do some of their program. I think we did. I think they had an hourly news that we I think we used to broadcast that. Their news, I forget what it was called, their news, and they had some other syndicated programs that we did run through Pacifica. Yeah. So he liked Pacifica, but he didn't want WSHA to be a Pacifica type station.
Trying to balance perspective.
Right, in my view, yeah. But that was a good program that Jamu did. They had, because he was able to connect, people from different parts of the country on that radio. So using our telephone, the telephone, you talk to different people around the country. Yeah,
that's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
No major floods or fires at the station?
Well, I think yesterday, we had an incident. I think it was 2013. There was a tornado that went right through here.
Wow.
And it affected, it damaged our equipment, and it went through, the whole Shaw University, and went all the way through, pretty much right through this area. Yeah, I think it was a tornado. It was on the news yesterday. I think it was 2013. Yeah, because it was a tornado that went through, and it was pretty devastating.
How do you handle those moments?
Well, there wasn't much we could do, because we didn't have a backup. So when we were off the air until things got, till the engineer was able to get us back on. Yeah. So I can't remember how long we were off. We weren't off that long, because our engineer was able to get us. Our transmitter wasn't damaged. Only thing that was damaged were things inside the studio, our board and all, because the tornado was so strong. I wasn't on the air. Our manager was on the air that time doing his African show, and that was when it was the whole library was damaged.
Did you have a dedicated engineer, or did they contract out to other stations?
No, we had a dedicated engineer. Yeah, we had a dedicated engineer.
And then I'm also...
he had other radio stations too, but he did service us too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess when you meant dedicated, he was strictly for WSHA. No, he serviced other radio stations too, but he was good being when we needed him. Yeah.
What was their name, do you recall?
Jim Davis.
Thank you. And I'm also curious, I should ask, what was the relationship to the FCC like? And what was that dealings like?
Well, we didn't have no problems with the FCC. When it was time for us to renew our license, we did the paperwork, and we renewed. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we were in compliance.
What lessons did you learn working in radio? What did working in radio teach you?
That you have to work with people. You have to be, when you're on the radio, although you're talking to a wider audience, you're actually talking to one person, and you never know, always keep in mind, you never know who's listening, So those are some of the things I learned. You never know who's listening. So when you're on there, you got to be your best and bring your best,
What are you most proud of during your time?
I'm most proud that I was able to, because I like music so well, that I was able to introduce people to all kinds of music, and different programs, and to see and the basically to bring people new music, because that was one of my passions,
Any words of advice to future students in radio?
What I just said.
Okay.
Yeah, what I just said.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Yep.
And then I am curious, what do you think about this effort that we have here? This is the HBCU Radio Preservation Project. Why do you think that's an important thing?
I think it is very important, because a lot of times, you'd be surprised how many people, of course, WSHA, a lot of people did know about WSHA, and then I met some people that didn't know. So I didn't know Shaw University had a radio station. Then I would give them my card and say, "Here, my card right here. Listen, check us out." So, and again, I think if HBCUs, I think if they had a real good news department, I think they could bring a lot of good information to people.
Anything that you think we are leaving out about Shaw University's radio station that comes to mind about your life that you want to get on the record before we close out this interview?
Well, again, I just think it's a shame that the station is no longer here. I think it could, have grown. It could continue to grow. And I just think it's really a downright travesty that the radio station is not here. Hopefully, God willing, that they will bring it up through streaming, and of course that's a different platform, but I think that's still helpful too. Yeah.
Well, Rashad,
but I think on air, what do they call it, terrestrial? I think that's still important too. But I don't think that'll never go away. People think that streaming is here to stay. It is here to stay, but I think on land, I think that air is still here too. Yeah. Yep.
Well, Rashad, it's been a pleasure to learn about your story and to talk with you today, and we're so grateful that you were a part of this
project.
project.
You can use what I said.
I'm going to absolutely use it. Thank you very much.
You very well.
Have a great
welcome.
day.
You too.